First, I have to say it really hurts when a great mind does something stupid because of ideology, and it really hurts me because if I have to name 3 YouTubers who made me start my little own, however insignificant work here, one was Kraut and T, and it hurts seeing him falling down in a self-digged hole. So if you don't know me, I'm a center-left kind of guy. I don't care for race purity or something like that. I don't care for an ethno-state. I don't care all too much about race, but I accept biology. The sad thing is this is where I and Kraut and T differ massively. I don't care about race. He denies it. Well, but first things first. And the first thing here is math, because Kraut bragged around how everybody besides him and his art-educated mind is not really fit to understand mathematics, and he used basically Wikipedia knowledge to make his point. And he did it mostly with R, which is actually R squared, but who cares for details these days. Let me show you an example how I can make quasi-magically a pretty lousy R squared to a really great R squared. So let's put your data into Excel and then add a correlation line, this thing here over, and let's try something and change the nature of the correlation, let's say to polynomial. Oh, what do we have here now? This lousy R squared is 0.96. Let's increase the order. Wow, it goes better and better and better and better. Oh, wonderful. What happened there? But let me blow your mind and we go into logarithmic. And now we have an R squared of 1. Wow! Well, what happens there? R squared is not an indication that the line is absolutely straight. It means that you have a mathematical describable function behind it, and if R squared goes into 1, it's perfect. If it's 0, there is no correlation whatsoever. In reality, you always end up somewhere in between 1 and 0. But let us go over to biology at this point. Kraut mixed in his video species, subspecies and race, well, a bit. But what does these words mean? Well, species means that you can create healthy offspring within the species. Subspecies means you can create offspring, but it's not really healthy, which means normally it's sterile. And outside the species, well, that doesn't work. So race is a bit spongy, because to talk about race makes only sense if you are already within the same species. In other words, if a human lays with a camel, to put it very family friendly, the result is not a hybrid. It just doesn't work. So different species doesn't work. If a horse and a donkey combine their genes, the result is the mule, and this hybrid subspecies is sterile. So horse and donkey, different subspecies. Races can of course intermix, so who is of the same race is a question, and where's this border? Well, it's floating. To become a new species, you will become in the first step a new race, whatever that means. Then you become a new subspecies, and finally a new species. The thing is that we as a species, as humans, did the world conquering and reunification, if you will, in just a bit over 100,000 years, and that's pretty fast on a biological scale. That's really very fast. And if it would have taken us, let's say, 1 million years, which means that nobody would have been able to cross the Sahara or the Pacific, it's pretty likely that we would have ended up at least a subspecies, like the horse and the donkey. If it would have taken us 10 million years, so no interchange whatsoever in 10 million years between the geographical region, I'm pretty sure that we could speak of different species. But more likely, I would guess, in a lot of areas there wouldn't be humans at all because of selection. A more extreme example would be space. If we go up there and different humans live in different ways because we colonize planets instead of building a Dyson sphere, which would be way cleverer, it's possible that you have to wait just lousy 10,000 years to end up with different human species. Race happens when 2 branches of the same species start evolve in different direction, following different needs. So it starts over here. One might become stronger, the other faster, the next better suited for a hot climate, the next maybe suited for living next to the sea. And one of these traits is intelligence. Intelligence means a better brain, and a better brain means that you have to feed it. It needs more energy than a not so well evolved brain. In an area where calories are an issue and the gathering of food has more to do with being fast and strong, it's a damn good idea from a nature and biological point of view to reduce the brain power. That will bring you success, and this will bring you healthy offspring. What you did there, crowd, is more or less a religion point of view. Your point works only if God comes down from heaven, defining species, subspecies, and so on, and paint different species in different colors because he thinks it's funny. And if you start to separate mind from matter, you're leaving the realms of biology and enter the realms of believing, fate, and so on. And then there is this last nail in this coffin, and that's that humans share 99.7% of genes altogether. Well, tell you what, smarty pants, we share 99.4% of all our genes with the bonobo. Race is a tough nut. Yeah, and it was for me too. But accepting race does not make you a racist. I too had a black girlfriend, so what? If you accept that different species, subspecies and races are optimized for different things, you stop forcing people to perform in the same way, which is unjust and unfair. If one of the main differences between humans would have been the size of our feet, and you in a, let's say, notable manner, and some of us have 3 centimeter long feet and others have 2 meter long feet, would you say, yeah, all have to run as fast because we are all humans? Intelligence is a biological trait, it's not magic. Don't treat it in such a way. Don't treat it as magic, or you act in the same absurd way than these believers in God do and say, God made the horse and the donkey isolated from each other. Race is just the first step for a potential split of species that might never happen with us. It might never happen. But it is the first step in biology. And if you deny race, you deny evolution pretty much as a whole. And I don't think that you want to do that.